DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Let's talk about what is unacceptable in your life. Now, we all understand the concept of goal setting. If you're new to me, get my book called The Mental Workbook, and I will show you exactly how to set goals for your life. If you are old to me, you've been following me, but you don't have my book that is called The Mental Workbook, go get it. You can get it by going and getting your copy of my book. The third day, I'm going to offer you a bundle. It's called the Mental Game Super Duper Bundle. It's 4 books. Get all 4 of them. Just say yes. We're going to give you all 4 in a package, in a bundle. So now you'll have, because who reads just one book anyway? So you'll get the Mental Workbook as part of that bundle. But in there, I teach you how to set goals for your life and then how to actually reach them. The whole point is, everybody understands the concept of setting goals. You think of the things that you want to achieve in your life, things you want to have in your life, type of person you want to be in your life, and then you go about, hopefully, working hard to reach those ideal outcomes. Everyone understands the concept of goals. What I want to talk about, though, is the kind of the antithesis of this. Actually, it's not the antithesis. It's kind of like the inverse of goals, because it's not something that you want to avoid, but actually you want to make a list. Same way you make a list of goals, I am proposing to you, and I'm going to tell you why to do this. You want to make a list of things that are your anti-goals. In other words, the things that are unacceptable in your life, the things that you no longer want. Why does this matter? The reason why this matters, and the big idea behind this, is that many times when you ask somebody, and me in my line of work, for those who don't know me, I used to play professional sports, so I started talking about mindset for athletes at first, but I noticed a lot of non-athletes would find my material and they really liked it. So I started talking about mindset for people who don't play sports. I stopped playing sports like 7 years ago. Now I do this full time. A lot of people that I work with, sometimes I ask them, well, what is it that you want? What are your goals? What are the places, the outcomes that you want to get to in your life? Now, sometimes I would say about 60% of the time, about 50 to 60% of the time, I'm working with people and I say, what do you want? What are your goals? And they know exactly what they want. They got it all laid out. They got bullet points. They might have already thought about this very deeply before they ever came across me. About 50 to 60% of the time. But another 40 to 50%, everybody else, I ask them, what do you want? And people will say, well, I don't know what I want. I don't know where I want to be. I know that they'll have some vague ideas like, well, I want to make more money in my business. I want to make a full-time income from this side hustle that I got so I can quit my full-time job. But they don't really have any really clear, definitive goals of the things that they want. And this doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. I mean, they're working with me, so they clearly know that this is something that they want to make some change about this situation. That's fine. Whenever you find yourself in a situation where you're not quite sure what you want, you know you want something, you know that your current situation is not what you want, but you can't quite articulate exactly what you do want, here's what I want you to do instead. Start asking yourself what you don't want. Start asking yourself what parts of your life right now are completely just not working. You absolutely want to get rid of them. They are completely and totally unacceptable. They are unequivocally unacceptable. I heard this guy talk about this recently in this marketing material that I had bought. And he was saying the most successful entrepreneurs that he works with, and he was talking specifically about business, but this applies to everybody. This is not just limited to business. But he was saying the most successful entrepreneurs that I work with, they determine what is completely unacceptable for them, and they immediately go to work at it. It's not something that they say, well, this thing could be better. This thing is not the way I want it to be. This thing could improve a little bit. I need to give this, and they don't do things like, well, let me give this a little bit more time. Let me give this area, this not ideal area, let me give it another shot and let me see if it gets better. He said, no, the most successful people, what they do is say, these things, these 7 things right here are completely unacceptable, and I'm going to do something about them right now. Like, not next week, not let me write it down and maybe I'll get to it, not hopefully somebody can help me out and give me some advice on this. They are the people who say these things are unacceptable and this is an emergency. It's a 5-alarm emergency that I do something about this right now, today, and eliminate this problem and delete it from being a problem. This is not going to be a problem anymore in my life because I'm doing something about it immediately on the spot. And that's what I'm telling you to do. I want you to, so that's the second step. The first step is you got to actually identify these things. What are the things that are unacceptable to you? And let me tell you an easy way to figure this out. And I'll tell you a way that I started figuring this out. Because I heard somebody talk about this a long time ago, but they said, well, let me tell you how I figured it. I figured it out because I was doing some kind of business deal. This is about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was some kind of business deal that I was doing, and somebody, I think it was a speaking gig that I did, and I already did the gig, and the way they had it set up is like, we can't pay you till after the gig. I usually get paid before the gig, even before this happened. But with this particular gig, they were like, well, we can't pay you till after the gig because the organization, and we can't do it this way in the county. And, you know, some bullshit story they were telling. Any of you ever done speaking gigs, you know, sometimes you run into this, at least when you're newer in the game. I was relatively new in the game at this time. They hit me with that. So the speaking gig was already done. They hadn't paid me yet. They was taking all long to give me my money. And I was really getting pissed off because I had actually given them, and again, I was relatively new in the game at this time. So I gave them a discount on my actual fee because I just wanted to get the gig. I wanted to get paid, and I needed to get that gig because it would help build my resume. So they taking all long to pay me the money after I had already did the gig and given them a discount, and I'm getting pissed off. And I remember this because the building I was living in at the time, every morning I would go and I would sit in the jacuzzi. So I'm sitting in the jacuzzi and I'm thinking about this situation because they had just sent me an email and they had hit me with some more bullshit about how they couldn't pay me right now. And I'm getting pissed off and we're writing emails back and forth. And I remember sitting there in the jacuzzi and I'm thinking to myself, all right, this is fucking unacceptable. This is not going to happen anymore. And any of you who's been in this situation, we've all been in these situations in life. You might not do anything about it, but you've been here mentally. When you start thinking about that one thing that's unacceptable, like that part where somebody's like fucking up and you're pissed, what happens is your brain, being the best personal assistant you will ever have, what does it start doing? It starts giving you all the other shit in your life that's unacceptable. Oh, you know what? That's unacceptable too. You know what? That is pissing me off too. That right there, I'm not letting that happen anymore. You start thinking about all the shit that you don't want to happen in your life anymore. This is a good thing. Let me tell you why this is a good thing if you use it the right way. It can be a useless thing if you only think about it just to get yourself mad and then you don't do anything. You just feel mad and do nothing. It can be a great thing if and when this thing happens and you start thinking you get a flood of all these things that are unacceptable in your life, you write all of them down and you tell yourself not only what is unacceptable, but why it is unacceptable. And here's the next step. What is unacceptable? Why it's unacceptable? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about this situation so that it does not happen anymore and it does not happen again? That's the next question that you need to ask yourself. This is the unacceptable list. So everybody understands setting goals. You got to set a list of things that are unacceptable in your life. And here's the good thing about things that are unacceptable as opposed to goals. Because when you set goals, a lot of times when we set goals, we think about things like right now I'm in the car driving. I just came from picking something up at a building that is in a neighborhood. I've lived in this area of Miami for over a decade, but this place that I just came from is a building I never actually been inside of it. And I was just inside the building. I'm looking around like, damn, this building it was actually a very nice building. I put it on my list of places that I might move to sometime in the near future. And when we set goals of things like that, sometimes you might see a nice car, be like, damn, that's a nice car, I'm gonna get me that. Or you see somebody with some nice clothes on, like, I'm gonna get those clothes. Or somebody with a nice big house, I'm gonna get that house. But that might take you 5 years. It might take you 6 months. It might take you 10 years to get to reaching the goal. Because if you set really big goals, it might be a long time and many steps in the process of getting to a goal. So it takes long-term discipline to get to it, right? And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. However, that goal is something that you might not get to for a long time from the time that you set it to the time that you actually reach it. But this thing, the unacceptable list, these are things that you know are unacceptable right now. And the good thing about it is you can do something about it right now today. This is not like 3 weeks from now. This is not like 6 months. This is, what am I going to do about this unacceptable situation, this unacceptable circumstance right now today? So another good thing about the unacceptable list is it is actionable. It is immediately actionable. You can do something about it today, right now. What am I going to do about this situation, these circumstances that are no longer allowed? It is an emergency, not a nice to have, not I should, not maybe something will happen about this. It is an emergency. I'm going to fix this today. And as soon as you identify it and write it down, you go to work on it. That's what you do with the unacceptable list. So now I just gave you your marching orders, what to do next with everything that I just told you. With all that said, send me a text so you can get my daily motivation text straight to your phone, free of charge, every single day from me, straight to your phone. Again, free of charge every day. Is going to keep you focused, sharp, and on point, guaranteed. This is acceptable. This is something that you want, and you can do it right now. Text me. My number is 305-384-6894. It's also down below in the show notes if you didn't catch that number. And the next step, you ready to start working with me directly so we can figure out what is unacceptable, what is not okay, what's an emergency in your life that needs to be fixed like today, not tomorrow, but today. Join me at Work on Your Game University. That's the only place where anybody can work with me directly. I know you like the YouTube and you're going to like my daily motivation. You listen to my podcast and read my books. You ready to work with me direct? You ready to get direct? Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and I'll show you all the options you got for working with me directly. And let's get to it. Let's get to these goals because we on the clock. Work on your game. Dre, all